A billionaire lost everything, then a poor man helped it happen on a Tuesday morning. A single email. A regulatory investigation. Everything Marcus Chun had built over 30 years, his $6.2 billion empire frozen. Seized. Gone. The allegations were fraud, market manipulation, securities violations. Some of it was true. Most of it was orchestrated by his own business partner, Thomas, who'd been secretly building a case against him for 3 years. By noon, Marcus had lost his company. By evening, he'd lost his family. His wife of 20 years filed for divorce, taking their homes and retirement accounts. By midnight, his lawyer told him he'd lose his freedom too. Prison time was almost certain. Marcus Sterling went from billionaire to broke in 12 hours. He rented a studio apartment in a neighborhood he wouldn't have driven through before. No security detail. No assistant. No one knew who he was. He was just another aging man in a cheap apartment, eating ramen noodles from a pot because he'd never learned to cook. For 3 weeks, he didn't leave. He sat on a mattress on the floor. He couldn't afford a bed frame and stared at the peeling paint on the walls. His phone had been his constant companion for 30 years. Now it was silent. No calls. No emails. No notifications. Everyone he'd known had vanished the moment he became useless. On day 22, there was a knock on his door. Marcus opened it to find a man in his 60s, wearing worn jeans and a faded work shirt. His name was David. He was Marcus's neighbor. "You haven't left in weeks," David said without preamble. "I've been watching to make sure you're okay." "I'm fine," Marcus lied. "No, you're not," David said. "You're dying. I can see it. I'm going to sit with you a while." David pulled up the only chair in the apartment, plastic, from the kitchen and sat down. He didn't ask questions. He didn't try to fix anything. He just sat there while Marcus stared at the wall. Every day for a week, David came at 2 p.m. He'd bring a sandwich. Not expensive. From a deli down the street. And he'd sit. Sometimes he'd talk about his own life. How he'd been a carpenter for 40 years. How his back was bad now, so he did odd jobs. How his daughter didn't call him anymore because he couldn't afford to visit her in California. "You have nothing," David said one day, "and you think that's the worst thing. But I've had nothing my entire life. It's not the worst thing." "What is?" Marcus asked. "Thinking that nothing is what you deserve," David said. "You're treating poverty like a punishment. Like you earned this. But poverty isn't a punishment. It's just a circumstance. It's what you do with it that matters." On day 8, David brought materials. Cheap wood. Nails. A hammer he'd borrowed from downstairs. "We're building you a bed frame," David announced. "I can't," Marcus started. "You can," David interrupted. "You have hands, you have time, you have breath." "That's enough." They built the bed frame together. It took all day. It was crude and uneven, but it was theirs. That night, Marcus slept on an actual bed for the first time in weeks. The next day, David brought ingredients. Flour, oil, tomatoes, garlic. "You're going to learn to cook," David said. "Why?" Marcus asked. "What's the point?" "Because," David said simply, "you need to eat. And you need to learn that you can take care of yourself. That's not nothing." Over the next month, David taught him things. How to make pasta from scratch. How to find the cheapest groceries without sacrificing nutrition. How to fix the leak in his apartment with duct tape and patience. How to sit in the park and feel the sun without checking his phone for stock prices. But more than that, David taught him how to be still. "When you were rich," David said one afternoon as they sat on the apartment steps, "you were running. What were you running from?" Marcus thought about it. "Emptiness," he finally answered. "I kept thinking the next deal, the next billion, the next acquisition would fill it. But it never did. And now?" "Now," Marcus said, "there's nowhere to run. So I'm finally sitting still long enough to understand what the emptiness actually is." "What is it?" David asked. "Fear," Marcus whispered. "I was terrified that I wasn't enough, so I kept proving I was more than enough. But it was never about money. It was about proving to myself that I mattered." David nodded. "Do you matter now?" Marcus looked at this man who had nothing, who'd lost everything life was supposed to promise, who'd still found time to help a stranger in an apartment. "Yes," Marcus said. "But not because of anything I've done, because someone sees me." "You see me." 3 months into his new life, Marcus's lawyer called. "There's been a development," the lawyer said. Evidence surfaced that most of the allegations were fabricated by Thomas. "The SEC is reviewing the case. You might not go to prison. You might actually recover some assets." Marcus felt nothing. He'd prepared for the worst. He'd already died 1,000 deaths. The thought of getting his old life back didn't excite him. It terrified him, because he knew now what it would cost. "What do you want to do?" the lawyer asked. "I want to talk to David," Marcus said. That night he told his neighbor everything. The potential recovery, the possibility of wealth again. "What do you want?" David asked. "I don't know," Marcus admitted. "That's the real problem. I spent 30 years knowing exactly what I wanted. I wanted more. I wanted to win. I wanted to matter. And I got all of it, and I was miserable. And now? I'm poor. I eat ramen noodles with someone who cares about me. I sleep in a bed I built with my own hands. I know my neighbor's name. I know the cashier at the grocery store. I know what it feels like to build something instead of buying something." He paused. I think I'm happy. So what will you do about the money? David pressed. I'm going to refuse it, Marcus said. I'm going to let it go. David smiled. Then you finally understood the most important thing. What's that? That losing everything was the best thing that ever happened to you. Because it forced you to stop running. It forced you to finally sit down and figure out who you actually are. 1 year later, the headline read, Former billionaire Marcus Chun refuses multi-million-dollar settlement, chooses to stay poor. The financial world was baffled. His ex-wife sued, claiming he was mentally unfit. His lawyers begged him to reconsider. Financial advisors tried to convince him that refusing money was irrational. But Marcus had discovered something that no amount of wealth could buy. He was teaching carpentry with David now. They worked with youth in low-income neighborhoods, teaching them to build things, to believe that their hands were worth something, that they could create, not just consume. He lived in the same apartment. He still cooked with David. They become more than neighbors, they become brothers. People ask me all the time if I regret losing everything, Marcus told a journalist who tracked him down. And the answer is no, I regret everything I had before. I had billions and no one. Now I have nothing and I have everything. The journalist looked confused. What do you mean? Marcus smiled. When I was rich, I owned things, houses, companies, cars, but nothing owned me. Nobody needed me. Now I have a man who comes to check on me every day. I have youth who look up to me. I have a purpose that doesn't come with a salary. I have a life instead of a resume. He paused. The shocking thing isn't that a billionaire lost everything. It's that losing everything showed him what he actually had to gain. You don't know who you are until you strip away everything you own. And sometimes the person who helps you find yourself is someone the world said was worth nothing. Some people don't subscribe because they think that even their one subscribe might help make me a big YouTuber. If you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe channel. Stay connected and don't forget to subscribe for more stories.